Hello, thank you, goalpreneurs. Thanks for joining me today. I am with a friend of mine back from Wisconsin, Angie Asmann. She's also known as the Pilates Ninja. She left the corporate world from accounting after 16 years to transition into the health and wellness realm. And her weight loss story is amazing. Her personal journey is even more amazing-er. But she's
Yeah.
a certified nutritionist, certified menopause coach. She's also a personal trainer and fabulous Pilates instructor. So thank you, Angie, for joining me today and everybody else that's listening.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm so
excited.
excited. Yeah. Um, where do you want to start? I want to hear about your journey. So when you started from corporate and then what made you transition into Pilates and the health and wellness, like what made you get into that field?
Yeah. Okay. So this might be a long story.
Okay.
Um, so I have an accounting degree. That's what I went to college for. Back when I went to college, like you needed to get a degree where you were going to have a job right out. At least that was like the expectation in my family, which is great and fine. And
Yeah.
that's what I got an accounting degree. It made sense to me, which is weird. People that know I have an accounting degree but have taken my classes are like, how does she have an accounting degree? Because she cannot count. Up or
I think that's
um,
all Pilates instructors.
so I think that
Can't
came
count.
with the slide. Yeah. But so I got a accounting degree, worked I had pretty big jobs in accounting, and I did not have my daughter until I was 32. And I had my daughter, and a year after I had my daughter, I was still 100 pounds overweight. So I was like 100 pounds heavier than I am right now at around 33 years old, right? So I was overweight, new mom. I mean, I don't know if you guys can remember. Some of you are probably there right now, but that hit me hard being a new mom. Like
Oh
it was
yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
Um, New mom and in this body where I was, severely overweight, and I had a daughter now that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in charge of her. And I realized that my body image would be her body image. And, she was going to be tall. Like I'm a really tall person. I'm just, always been bigger. And I just wanted to make sure that I learned how to be healthy so that I could teach her. Because no one ever taught me, right? That's not something like I grew up in an era where you're just trying to be as skinny as you can possibly be,
Yeah.
right? And talked about body image. No one ever talked about nutrition or fueling your body correctly. It was all about how skinny can you be, and I was never the skinniest. And I was like, I got to get this together. So I literally a year after I had my daughter, I was still working in accounting. I was a breadwinner at that time in that marriage. So I was working a lot, but it was right after New Year's. So it was like a New Year's resolution. I went to a group fitness class, local group fitness class to me. I'd never done a group fitness class before, at least not one that I could remember, right? Go to this group fitness class, went to the back, didn't want her to look at me, didn't want anyone to look at me. And this is back when, so it was step aerobics, which there's not that much step aerobics anymore, but there was step aerobics. And I was not smart enough to know that I could pretend like I knew what I was doing. Because if you've ever been in step aerobics, you can't pretend if you don't know, for instance, what a turn step is, right? So anyway, I went to this class, embarrassed, horrible. I was thinking I'm never coming back. I had just all these horrible thoughts, and I'm leaving, and the instructor like beelined back to grab me. And she was like, you did amazing. And I hope you come back. And I was like, oh, well, I don't feel like I did amazing. She goes, you did. And I want to see you tomorrow. Can you come tomorrow? So like, she just reached out to me and basically believed in me when no one else was believing in me. Right. Fast forward, I ended up, took me like 3 years. I lost the weight. I lost 100 pounds really through exercise. I think I was young enough at that point that I could still get away with that. I mean,
Yeah.
I did my eating, but I just still didn't understand the eating piece totally. But what I did realize is that most people just need someone to believe in them and just need somebody to like kind of hold their hand and like guide them, or at least
Mhm.
be accountable, have someone to be accountable to. And I was like, it's not that, it's hard, but it's not that complicated, right? Like um I felt like she really made a difference in my life, and she did, right? So fast forward, I was like in this accounting job. So now at this point, I had lost the weight. I had gotten certified. I think the first certification I got in fitness was in spinning. I loved that was my first original love. And I got my certification in spinning. So I was teaching. I like went to the YMCA and I'm like, please just let me teach. I'll teach for free. I'll pay you if you'll let me teach. Like I just wanted to like, I wanted to do what she did for me, for other people,
Pay
right?
it forward.
Yeah, pay it forward. So I was teaching early mornings, I was teaching nights, and still doing my accounting job. And I remember my boss at the time, because, you know, obviously when you become passionate about something else and you're not that passionate about what you're doing, at least for me, that shows,
Mhm.
right? Like if I'm not into what I'm doing, you're going to know. So my boss was talking to me at the time in accounting, kind of like, what's going on with you? And I was like, you know, here's the thing. If I died tomorrow, what's the point? Like, what this accounting thing that I'm doing, who's it helping? Like, I was like, this is not making one bit of difference in the world, right? And I feel like I have I know I have a passion, and I feel like I have a skill that I can help change people's lives, but it's not going to happen in accounting, right? And he was like, oh, it's fine. You know, we're helping the shareholders. I'm like, no, no, no. I do not care if the
Yeah.
balance sheet, I don't even care. And I don't think that many people care either. So anyway, I ended up walking away from that accounting job, which it caused a lot of turmoil in my personal life because, like I said, I was the breadwinner. It ended up my first marriage kind of collapsed after that, just because we couldn't come to an agreement on um, it being okay that I walked away from a pretty big career to do fitness
Yeah.
because the you know the salaries are different. Okay. So, but I was like, I have to go for this. This is something I'm really passionate about. I want to do it. So I ended up opening a really small studio right above a gas station in the town that I was living. My dad found a really great deal. He's like, it's only going to be like 600 a month. And he financed my first set of spinning bikes. And so anyway, so I set up shop above this gas station that smelled like gas, that smelled like hot dogs and grease, but I loved it. My mom made the curtains. I mean, you know, literally, like I'm a 30 at that point. I wasn't a child. Like I was a 38-year-old woman, I think at that point, you know, like, um, but like so happy, right, that I just walked away and I did that. I ended up opening a much bigger studio, a couple other studios. I think at one point I had maybe 30 instructors. We had over 100, 150 classes a week running.
Wow.
Um, yeah, it was awesome. So I that's how I don't even remember the question, but that's how I got to into health and fitness. Just
Where was
really
this? Where,
when
because you
where
been in Wisconsin for what, 8 years?
I've been in Wisconsin for 8 years. This was in Quincy, Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's about 5.5 hours southwest of here.
Okay.
It's like the most western part of Illinois where it kind of goes out along the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
I'd grown up and I had moved back there because my parents lived there and I had my daughter and I wanted to raise her closer to my parents. So that's kind of why I ended up back there. And then I ended up opening the studios because I was like I wanted to open a studio at a place like I would want to work out at,
Yeah.
right? And I was talking about this morning with a client. I still teach classes the way I would want the classes taught to me, right? Like that's what I think, like, because I was a student for so long in
Mhm.
group fit and in personal training that now I'm like, what, how would I want this to go? And that's why I put up the studios like that. And they were really successful. We helped a ton of people. But then what happened then was I met my husband, my second husband, in Quincy. And we got married. And then 6 months later, he got offered a job in Wisconsin up
Okay.
here.
Okay.
And it was really like, it wasn't in our plan to move, but financially it was like, we couldn't turn it down. Right. So I sold my studios. Well, I left my parents. That was hard.
Yeah.
And an eighth grader at the time, and moved her up here, which it all turned out like it's all turned out exactly like great, but it was hard at the time.
But eighth
So
grade, I mean, that's really hard for a girl, especially gonna be leaving
eighth,
middle school, entering high school. That
it
I
was
think that time is really tough.
it turned yeah that was really hard transition for everyone. We knew zero people, zero. But what it really taught Emily, that's my daughter, was you can always remake yourself.
Mhm.
Right? It gave her an opportunity. It gave me an opportunity to come in where the slate was clean. No one knew anything. And let's just see if we can do this. And she, ended up captain of a volleyball team. She was prom queen. She did great. And now she's
Yeah.
going to school. She goes to school at UW-Madison and she's doing great. She's almost a senior, or she is a senior. Oh, wow. Yeah. So, but it was hard. It was hard too, because, like from my career, I had to like remake all kinds of connections or
Mhm.
start because I didn't know anyone here.
Yeah.
And that's what business is all about, meeting people and connecting with people. Right. So
Developing those relationships. I got goosebumps when you said, transitioning, it was hard for everybody. You didn't know anybody. So she saw you, she's like looking up to you like, oh my gosh, my mom is in the same boat as I am. We don't know a single person here. And she's able to figure this out. And so that probably trickled down to Emily and it was like, yeah, I can do this.
yeah,
And
she's
that's
is
gonna serve her well the rest of her
yeah,
life.
she's in Amsterdam studying this semester. Like
I
just
saw good for her. See? That
a
served her well.
So yeah, so she's doing really well. So it turned out really good.
Yeah.
Um, but bottom line is I personally like life is too short to be unhappy. I mean, a little bit, sometimes you have to be unhappy, but not all the time. And you should really like, I feel like when you find like that thing that lights your soul on fire that you're good at, like that intersection, like you can't deny that. Like I cannot personally deny that. That is something that I feel like I have to do. I really feel like I'm in the spot that I was meant to be in.
Yeah.
And in terms of a career,
Okay.
and
Mhm.
that was made to do.
Yeah.
That's how I didn't feel like that in accounting.
You always felt like something
But
something was
you feel
missing.
like what'd you say?
Something was missing. You maybe couldn't figure it out until this other side, this other door opened. It was like,
Mm,
that's my direction. That's what I'm
yeah,
meant to do.
yeah. And I really keep it simple. That's the other thing that I learned, especially when I started to improve my nutrition. I was like, this is way overcomplicated in society. Like it is not that complicated, right? We are overcomplicating it and people are sicker than they've ever been. Like I just really keep it simple. If you don't want to eat broccoli, don't eat it. Like why would you eat something you hate?
Yeah.
Um, so that once I learned that, I'm like, I can help people do this. Like
Well, I think the
I
complication comes in. So, yeah, I do believe that people should be listening to their body and eating what makes them feel good. If you're eating something it doesn't agree with you and you know that, probably shouldn't be eating that. But with being bombarded with keto, carnivore, low carb, Atkins, paleo, all these different diets out there. Oh, I lost 50 pounds eating this way. You should try that. Everybody's body is so unique. We're built differently. So what
right.
works for one person may or may not work for the other one, but everybody's just, I think, like you said, we're sicker than we've ever been. We're heavier than we've ever been. And I think people are just trying to grab at whatever they can. We need help.
People want it. The thing is people want it like fast.
Oh yeah.
And like in my story, I don't know if you caught, it took me like it took me years to
Yep.
lose the weight. Um, because it's not a linear journey, right? There's the up and down, there's the plateaus for 6 months, and so you you can have, I always say you can have it fast or you can have it forever. Which do you want? And if you want it forever, that's 1 to 2 pounds a month. And really that's what it is, right? Um,
1 to 2 pounds a month.
or 1 to 2 pounds a week. Sorry. Yeah. So like, maybe
Okay.
4 pounds a month. Yeah. I mean, but it's not a lot. It's not fast. It's not fast.
No, no, but one to
And
two
it's,
pounds a month, I'm
you know,
like, oh my gosh, this is gonna take forever.
take but and it's not always about the scale too. I mean, that's the other thing. My daughter and I, when I had my studio, and a little bit when we got up here, we tried to do it. We have a project called the Mirror Image Project, which is basically essentially saying your your child, your daughter, let's just say your daughter is a mirror of you,
Mhm.
right? She's going to have the same. If you are, we pass along our body issues. We pass along our insecurities, and even when we don't realize we do it, we do it. And so we started this project where moms and daughters work together on having healthy body images, accepting their bodies for what they are, enjoying your body, understanding that we all look different. I mean, I probably train 200 people a week now in classes, and no, not one body looks the same.
Yeah,
They all look different. They're all doing the same workout, but they all look different, right? And they all respond differently to those workouts. And that's how it's supposed to be.
yeah.
Yeah, just really instilling that healthy body image was really something that was important to me, because I that was another thing, not at fault like my mom or my grandma or anything like that, but we didn't grow up like that. We didn't grow up with like, I didn't personally grow up with love your body for what it is. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, back then, I was born in 78, and back then, that was not a thing. It wasn't about nutrition, it wasn't about self-confidence. Excuse me. It wasn't about accept your body. It was jazzercise was the big thing to do. Cardio. You
Mhm.
had the cardio bunnies, and it was all about eating the minimal amount of food and cardio, cardio, cardio. And the nutrition part, I mean, that just really wasn't a thing when,
Yeah,
at least from what I remember seeing my mom and when I was growing up, it just wasn't a thing. We never talked about it.
right. And I think I was born in 71, so I'm about 7 years older than you, but I've been through all the diets. Like I always say, all diets work until they don't,
Yeah,
right?
that's good.
So I'm coaching people. It's all about like, is this the way you're eating right now? Is this something you're going to be able to continue forever?
Hmm.
Right? Forever. And if the answer is no, then let's rework it. Or maybe you do need to get off your sugar addiction, or but um, if I feel like teaching people to eat in their lives is so, so important. And I also do not stress. I always say it's more important to be strong than skinny. Strong, not
Yeah.
skinny. Taglines when I had my studio in Quincy, just because I don't know. I just fought like so much growing up. We all have so much trauma, body trauma. At least I do. And I really wanted like my daughter's generation to not have that. I feel like it's improved a little, but I also feel like the introduction of social media has not helped the situation for them.
Yeah, I was just thinking that I mean, when we were younger, we had magazines and TV. But the introduction of social media and filters, Photoshop, I mean,
Mhm,
that really can do a number on people, especially girls. And going
mhm,
through that teen stage where they're finding themselves and trying to figure out their way, but even for adults too. I mean, we see the what's supposed to be considered perfect. It's
mhm.
like, I'm gonna kill myself because
Oh,
trying to get to look like this when
right.
we have two totally different body shapes. It's never going to happen.
Right.
So I
Exactly.
think how you did it, starting from when Emily was young and then having a good role model and like transitioning with her as she got older and showing her, strong, not skinny. Focus on fueling your body with good foods that are going to help you get the energy and keep helping you work toward your goals. I think that is amazing. And that needs to be more of a priority for families.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things we even talk to, so there are things that moms do that they don't even realize are affecting their daughter's body image. And I didn't realize this. This is something I learned because we had like a psychologist come in and talk at one of our meetings one time. And she said, do you ever try on an outfit? Like, this is when my daughter's 8, right? Do you ever try on an outfit and ask her how you look in it? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, don't do that.
Oh,
Right. Because um, you're asking her, like, what if you don't look good in it? Is she going to say that to you? Like, how does that make, right? So she's like, don't even, never ask your daughter what she thinks about your body or how something looks on your body. And I was
no,
like, that never happened to me.
no.
I know I did that, but just small things that you don't even realize, or, oh, I'm not eating that tonight, I'm on a diet, right? Don't say things like that. Or don't drive through the drive-through. I always used to tell people, don't drive through the drive-through for your kids and then go home and eat a salad. Like, you're doing that. That is wrong, right? Like, go home, you know, find something that you can all eat together that's nutritious, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I'm, yeah, I'm kind of black and white when it comes to that. Like, just don't do it.
Sometimes that's easier said than done.
Yes.
But baby steps, I think progress over perfection and just every day be better than you were the day before. Just
Yeah.
one small change every single day. So
Mm.
so my daughter is in her last year of college as well. And I remember when The Biggest Loser was on NBC. We watched it from the very first season, and I'm trying to think when that was. I think she was in kindergarten, like 4K kindergarten.
Yeah.
It was so long ago. But I'm like, that was our weekly show. Now, whether I'm gonna get crap for that, I don't know, nor do I care. But I'm
Oh,
like, look, this is what unhealthy lifestyles will lead
yeah.
to over time. And
Right.
it starts when they're kids.
Mhm.
And so each week we would watch this and that got in her mind, ooh, eating better. I have not seen her touch fast food in I can't even tell you how many years. And
Yeah.
she's 23 now, so it must have been at least 10 years ago was maybe I think the last time I saw her touch fast food. But with the fitness making that a priority. But it's really good for kids and having
It,
growing up with that. So
well,
completely different from how we grew
yeah,
up.
right. It's our job. I feel like it's our job. Like, if I'm going to have a child, right, I have a lot of jobs to raise that child, but one of them is to teach them how to be healthy. I mean, your health is your greatest asset, period.
Yeah.
There, I don't even want to, I could argue that all day with people. Like, that is the most important thing. And I feel like that's more important than teaching them about, how to use a bank account, for instance, right? Like, teach them how to eat, and not in a way for them to be skinny or to get a six-pack abs, but in a way like this fuels your body.
Yep.
um I can't, every time something was wrong with her, I'm like, are you drinking enough water? She always makes fun of me like that. She's like, oh, you're just going to tell me to drink water. I'm like, well, it helps. But that's, I don't know, I took that really seriously, and I wanted to change that for my daughter, something that I didn't have.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Doesn't do fast food either. In fact, we drove past, my husband and I drove past a fast food place the other day. I'm like, I don't even understand how that works. Like, there's more than one line now. If I had to go through it, I would not know how to do it. That's the truth.
It's insane. It is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that we live a fast-paced lifestyle, but I also think a little bit of planning can help, mitigate any poor choices that might need to be made
True.
down the road.
True. I do think there are some, depending on the area, I do feel like there are some healthier options if you're in a pinch.
Mhm.
So honestly, there is no excuse. You can eat healthier wherever you go,
Right.
restaurants or fast food places, like quick pickup meals. You can, there is no reason that you have to eat like crap.
Every day, right? Like really a believer in, most of the time I'm keeping my nutrition pretty tight. Some of the times I don't, but the summertime don't matter when most of the time is happening.
So
So
what is your, because I think I know the answer to this. What is your go-to? Was it on a Friday night? Saturday night?
that's like my week. I have a few weaknesses, and one of them is I say charcuterie, but it's really the cheese.
That's
Let's
it.
just not. I don't care about the meat. I mean, I'll eat meat, but it's like a cheese board. I love a cheese board with a good. There's the dog barking. I love a good cheese board. That's the best thing about Wisconsin, by the way. And a good glass of wine.
Red or white?
So if I'm eating cheese, I would like red. But since I was in perimenopause, going through menopause, wine is really screwing with me lately. So it takes a lot for me to even drink it now because I think I'm having like a histamine reaction to it or something. There's something going on. Like I feel weird when I drink wine now, but
Oh, okay.
I still will have a glass of wine with some cheese on a Friday night. Like that's my favorite. I mean,
I
I wish,
saw the picture. That board looked good.
yeah, I don't cook, but I can make a mean cheese board.
So speaking of foods and menopause, what do you tell your clients? So majority of the clients that you train or work with, are they in that perimenopause, menopause age, or are they on the younger side or on the other side of menopause, or is it kind of a mix?
It's kind of a mix. I would say like the majority are probably like 35 to 55. Like that's probably like the majority. But like today, this morning on the reformer, I trained a 26-year-old and a 30-year-old. Those were my two clients this morning on my class that I taught. One of the women is 75. So it's really like a broad range.
Yeah.
Um, I got menopause certified. I think this is how I run my life now that I talk about it, but I got menopause certified because I went through it and I was like, I had no idea what was going on. Like when I went through perimenopause, I went to doctors. You go to doctors, but every doctor just tries to address a specific symptom. Like my shoulder hurts, or I'm bloated all the time, or I'm exhausted, or for me, my mouth was burning. My mouth burned for 5 years straight. Like, isn't that weird? Just weird things like that were happening to me. And I would go to these doctors, and sometimes I felt like I was being gaslit, like I was being told that I was crazy, or, oh, that's just oh, you're just at that age. And I'm like, what does that mean? So I went through all of that. And then I finally am getting on the other side of it. I'm like, somebody needs to help women. Like, this is crazy what goes on during perimenopause and menopause. And so that's why I got that, because I already had the nutrition and the fitness piece of it, but I really wanted to understand, physiologically, psychologically, like what is going on during perimenopause and menopause. And that all starts in your early 40s for most women, perimenopause. And then no one ever said that word to me when I was in my 40s. No one ever said the word perimenopause to me.
Oh my gosh. So I had on a women's health specialist, and
Mhm.
she said it was like that late 30s, early 40s. So, like what you were just saying too, is when it really starts, but you don't notice the symptoms until you're more in the thick of it. And then it's like you wake up one day and boom,
Mhm.
all these
That's how,
things shifted.
right? Yeah. When you're in your late 40s is when it really gets bad, hard. But it starts earlier and you just don't think about it. And I didn't want to, because there's a stigma, right? There's a stigma with women and aging. So I never wanted to talk about the word menopause with me, especially as it relates with my career. I mean, I'm in a youth driven business. I am like, I'm aware of that. I'm very aware of that, and it's stressful. And I didn't ever want to talk to people about menopause or perimenopause or tell anyone how old I was, because I thought like it would keep, clients would be like, why would I want to train with her? She's old. Like the girl this morning, I was twice her age. Like, I don't know if she knows how old I was, but when I asked her age, I was like, oh, wow, she's young. You're like almost my daughter's age, but yeah, perimenopause and menopause is something, and I think it's starting to happen, or maybe I'm just paying more attention, but it's really like, it's something that needs to be addressed for
Mm-hmm.
women.
Oh yeah, for sure. When you were talking about symptoms, what was like one of the major symptoms outside of the burning mouth? I've never heard of that, by the way.
I didn't hear that either until my menopause certification. That was one that was listed. There could be hundreds of perimenopause and menopause symptoms, but that was listed. And I was like, oh, that's good to know now. And it all has to do with, the change in perimenopause, like your hormones are going up and down, up and down. So, one week you might have a lot of estrogen and then it plummets, and testosterone is decreasing all as we go. My biggest symptom that I can think of that I didn't know why, two things. First thing was I was exhausted. Like I was every day at 1 o'clock, like I would book it into my schedule. This is when I had my studio. I would book myself out from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock every day because I had to go home and take a nap. And it wasn't, and it, well, I wasn't sleeping well. So that's a symptom of not sleeping well, which is a symptom of perimenopause. Now I know all of this, but I was like, something's wrong with me. I thought I was maybe depressed. Like, am I not eating right? Am I missing vitamins? I got all the blood work done. I did all that stuff, but no one ever said to me, like, oh, it's a symptom of perimenopause. Like, fatigue is one of the biggest symptoms. That, and then the weight gain.
Yes.
Yeah,
Why
I
the
gained.
midsection? It's like you wake up and you have this fluff around the midsection. Can't
Yeah.
be distributed evenly. That would be too nice. So it just gets plopped right on the midsection.
And I was, again, in nutrition and fitness, and it was happening to me. I wasn't doing anything different, right? I wasn't eating more. I wasn't exercising less. Like I was doing everything the same, and my body was changing. I felt like for a good 6, 7 years, I was fighting. I was at war with my body. That's the only way I could describe it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have anywhere to turn, you know? So that's why I decided to get menopause certified, so that I could, just learn more about it and then actually have that other tool in my belt to help women. Because I tend to probably, I have a lot of clients that are my age just because we have, they can relate to me or whatnot.
Yeah.
So
So
it
do you
definitely,
have a class or do you do workshops on menopause, perimenopause?
yeah. Yeah. So I've done some one night things, like they're usually on Zoom because don't just want to reach women locally. I want to, wherever you're at, we
Yeah.
can do. But so yeah, I do, and I always promote them on my social media. Like I'll do one night, like hormones and nutrition. I did a session on that. And then I do like full, where I take a group of women, usually between 10 and 20 women, and I do a full menopause class, perimenopause and menopause class, where each week is a different topic. Like one week is hormones, one week is nutrition and menopause. Cause we can't change it. Like it's going to happen, right? It's actually, we're lucky that it happens because 50, 100 years ago, women didn't live this long for it to happen, right? So now we're living long enough that we are actually like, what's going on in our 50s or in our late 40s? So, or there are things you can do to mitigate the symptoms. You can't change it, but we try and control what we can control. So I talk about nutrition and hormones, exercise and hormones. And then one night we do a whole session on like sleep and sex and supplementation and stress and how those things all relate to menopause. So it's really like, what lifestyle things can I do, or, that we can do just to manage this transition stage of life. I guess now we call it an era, whatever you want to call it. What things can you do just to make it better? And then just to have a support group, because those women, we have like an online group together, and
Yes.
they all start sharing stories and supporting each other in that community. It's just nice to know, oh, somebody else feels like this. Oh, this happened to someone else. And yeah.
Yeah. How did
So
your husband do when you were going through that whole shift? Because I know libido drops and
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I don't have the energy. And I don't think they fully understand. It's like, we don't have that drive. I
Hmm.
can force myself, but
Hmm.
I mean, was he gracious about that? And
Yeah. Well,
what
and-
supplements can we take to get that back up?
so him and I got married when I was 42. Right. So I did actually go through that whole thing, and we moved up here. It was a lot. I'm just gonna say my 40s, I feel like we're a lot. But so that being said, the libido side of it, we were newlyweds. So that helps the situation, right? It wasn't
Yep.
like we had 20 years at that point, which a lot of women at that point have been together 20 years with their husbands, right? So um, one thing that definitely can help women, and we don't talk about it enough because we've genderized our hormones, but is hormone replacement therapy and testosterone. We have most of the month, women have more testosterone than estrogen in their body anyway. It's not just a male hormone. It won't turn you into a male, but there are some benefits from having, hormone therapy with testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, all those types of things. So I would say that for number one is probably the biggest help with women for libido if they have that. I think eventually it will become FDA approved to help women with libido. I mean, we have all kinds of things that'll help men, and those get approved really fast. But I think that trend is changing and getting better for women. But yeah,
So
so
with the hormone replacement, there's a few different options out there. Like creams, sublinguals, pellets. What else
shots.
is
Yeah, there's shots, pills. Yeah. Um, what I always tell people is to just look in your area for a doctor that not specializes in, because they may not specialize in, but has training in menopause, and start there. Because I started with doctors that didn't, and I just felt like I would say, well, I have this symptom, and they were like, well, your numbers are normal. Well, yeah, they're normal for a 48-year-old woman, but is that optimal? I don't know. Like, I don't, yeah. So it took me a while to find a doctor that, um, like, it should,
understood that there was a difference?
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. And because I had like heavy bleeding, I had some fibroids and things like that in my 40s as well, which all were also related to my perimenopause, which I didn't know. But my gynecologist at the time, he recommended 3 times. I finally stopped seeing him, but he recommended 3 times that I get a hysterectomy. And it was really just kind of almost an elective hysterectomy, right? It wasn't like I needed it. It was, he said that would make it better because I wouldn't have a period anymore. I wouldn't have to use birth control anymore, which, yeah, on the surface, that sounds great. But what he never said to me was what would happen to me if I got a hysterectomy, an elective hysterectomy at 47. What would happen to my hormones? And I would be thrown into menopause at that point. Like, he never talked to me about that. And I'm so thankful I didn't do it. One of the reasons, one time we were trying to find a new method of birth control, my husband and I, and he was like, well, you could have a hysterectomy. And that was when I was like, I don't think this is the right doctor for me. Like, I don't think I should have to go through that, like remove organs for birth control.
Right.
So what I recommend to women is, and you have to advocate for yourself. Um, it might take a while, like ask your girlfriends, like start talking about it with your girlfriends, because they might know, and maybe they're not posting it on social media. Hey, I got hormone replacement therapy today, or, they're not talking about that, but they might, if you ask them privately, they might like share what they're doing or what they found or what they've heard, and just start with that route, I would say,
Yeah,
because there can help.
I
Um,
guarantee.
doctor knows
What's that?
what, not every doctor knows what to do when it comes to perimenopause and menopause. Like it's just not taught in medical school.
Oh, right, right. A lot, I don't think a lot is taught in medical school. Um, it wasn't until I think 2007, I was finishing up my bachelor's for holistic nutrition. And that's when I learned that there's different levels of like numbers. So you have your optimal level, you have the recommended level or normal, and then you have maintenance, and then blood work. I believe it was blood work. My doctor told me blood work is like whatever numbers those are showing, it's even worse than that.
Mhm.
And whatever bottles for the daily allowance, you need to be taking more than that to even start to make a difference. And most people have no clue because they're just so tuned in to what their doctors are telling them. They don't do any other research or investigating.
I know. Even my primary doctor, I still see her. Um, I don't know why, but every year I just go for a checkup. I saw her on Tuesday. That's why it's fresh in my mind. But she still is so she's anti hormone replacement therapy. She's also 32. So I'm in my head, I'm thinking, I'll see you in 20 years. And you tell me after you go through it, then you tell me, because she's like, well, everyone feels good on testosterone. Of course you're going to feel good. I'm like, well, why can't I feel good? Like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
I think
I have
looking,
work done. I make sure I'm in safe levels. Like, yeah,
I think looking back with clients, it's you develop that relationship, that know, like, and trust factor. And like for me, if I know somebody has already gone through it and they came out on the other side more knowledgeable, they were able to help themselves and become healthier, I am much more likely to trust that person than anybody else. Like a younger person that might be a specialist, they haven't gone through this. So it's easy to sit there and say, well, you need to be doing this, 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 and this. Don't eat that. You have to eat this. Don't take those supplements. If you haven't gone through it, you have no idea.
right. And
And
it is that you do, everyone can, it's kind of like pregnancy, right? Like everyone can tell you what's going to happen, but until you've gone through it, you don't know.
yeah,
It's so, yeah, I agree. Like that's why I say talk to your girlfriends, find out in your community, like who is the doctor that's helping women, that's advocating for women, that will listen to you, listen to your symptoms, and not just say, oh, you're at that age. Oh, that happens. Oh, welcome to the club. Or, things like that. Like all of those things are like, do not say that to me.
yeah.
Like acknowledge the symptoms I'm having, and let's talk about, ways that I could possibly make it better. I mean, there are ways that without a doctor's help, you can make it better. Things like sleep, so important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sleep is probably, I think sleep is the ground zero of all health right now. Like if let's say you feel depressed, or you're like, gosh, I just feel so depressed, or I don't have any energy. Well, are you sleeping right? Like, should we go back and look at that sleep? There's so many things that can be fixed just by getting your sleep on a good schedule, looking at what you're doing before you go to bed. And my group, there was a woman who, she, in my menopause class that I taught, I think this was in April, she was in the April group. She had a problem sleeping. She was getting hot flashes at night, which is super common for women in their 40s. and even beyond. And, but also every night before she went to bed to unwind, she would have a glass of wine. And I was like, well, alcohol can trigger hot flashes. Alcohol can trigger it. Caffeine can trigger them. Spicy foods. I'm like, maybe just for a week, maybe cut the wine out, maybe have a warm tea or something, or, you know, something that relaxes you, makes you feel like you're still doing something to relax you, but it's not alcohol. She cut it out and she started sleeping so good. Do you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
sleep is important. And there's ways you can help with that. Sleep, getting enough protein, getting enough fiber, um, exercise.
Yeah.
Exercise is important.
And it doesn't have to be like when I hear the word exercise, it's like, ugh, it's a chore. But I think mindset is key in shifting that to view it differently. Like celebrate what your body can do and how it can move. And with working out, it doesn't mean you have to be in a gym on a treadmill or a bike doing boring things. Like
Or
take a
sweat
fitness class.
in, yeah, you don't have to be like that. Like you, everyone, every single person needs to find something they don't hate
Yeah.
and do 5 times a week, period.
Yep.
And hopefully you can find a way to put some hands on your weights so that you get some strength training, right?
Yes, that
So
is super important.
really important, especially for women, perimenopause and beyond.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you weren't teaching Pilates, what would you be doing?
You mean for exercise?
Yeah.
Or yeah. So when I teach in like in-person class, like an in-person group class, I don't do it with the class. I did when I started teaching, but I just got to the point that's exhausting and it's really not helping them. It's not helping me. So I don't do the class with them. I do the class with my online classes. So I do teach online classes 3 times a week. And obviously when you're online, you have to be, I can't just talk you through it. We have to like demonstrate it. So I do that. So that does count as exercise, I would say for me. So I do that. I have a stationary rower. Is that what you call it? Indoor rower. I don't row on the lake, but I have a rower and I row for the past 4 years. I've rowed 5 or 6 thousand meters. My goal is 5 times a week. And most of the time I hit 5 times a week. Sometimes I only hit 4, but most of the time I'll hit 5 times a week. So I row every day. And that works like 80% of your muscles. Like I really, and it's really calming for me. I don't go hard. Like I'm not like, oh, I'm going crazy. Like it's just really almost meditative for me. I walk the dog every day until it gets too cold not to. And too cold is under 25 degrees. That's the rule that I have.
Yep.
So if as long as 5 degrees are over, I walk my dog every day because he needs it too. He's a little he needs to lose weight. And then I try and so my least favorite thing to do is strength training. Like I don't like it, but I do it because I want to protect my bones and I want to stay strong and I don't want to muscle. I really believe muscle is the fountain of youth.
Mhm.
And so I try and I don't try. I do 3 times a week, minimum 20-25 minutes of strength training. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I do love push-ups. So I do those almost every day.
I do too.
I love
I
push-ups.
do too. I do a modified push-up when I teach. I'm like, okay, let's do our modified push-up. So we start back in that child's pose and then we hinge it forward and do a push-up. So it is on the knees and then we hinge it back. And I'm like, this is awesome. And then the next couple days, I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I so stinking sore? Like, what did I do? Did I sleep funny? It's
Yeah.
the push-ups.
Yeah. I know. They're like, they're God's gift.
It's amazing. It's
Now
amazing.
get her. We don't like her anymore. But yeah, no, it's good. Like I love push-ups. I wish I loved squats as much as I love push-ups, but oh,
I feel like
low.
with squats, like especially getting older, I'm like me personally, I'm noticing more issues with in the hip area and squats just not as good. So
Yeah.
real quick, I know we're getting down to the bare wire on our time together, but what is an option if somebody can't do squats because of hips or knees? What could they do?
Yeah, I always have my clients do glute bridges. Like a glute bridge where you're laying on your back, you have your feet flat, knees bent. You can weight them with weights on your hips. You could band them with a band around right above your knees, or you could just, just do them. Yeah, glute bridges are really good because there's really low risk of injury. Most people can do them. You have to be able to get down and up and down off the floor. But guess what? You should be practicing that anyway. Like, I know that sounds crazy to anyone maybe under 50 that that's a thing, but training women now, and especially I have lots of clients in their 70s, getting up and down off the floor is a thing you need to make sure you can continually do every day because
Yeah,
we take it and it gets to be really hard. So the glute bridge, you have to get down on the floor to do it. So that'll be good practice up and down off the floor.
good to know. Yeah, I do love bridges also. So do my people. I just forget on counting. So I'm like, oh, I lied. We're gonna do 5 more.
Always. Whenever I lose count, I'm like, oh, I think we have 4 more.
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows? Does
Yep.
it matter?
Nope.
I'm You're talking to the woman who doesn't, I don't measure very much. Like I don't, my mom was here last weekend and she's like, where are your measuring cups? And I'm like, I don't know. Like I don't use them. Like I'm not,
I
details are
love it.
so, it won't hurt you to do 4 extra glute bridges. No, but yeah.
True, true. Um, let's talk about some fun things. So they're gonna, not that that wasn't fun, it was super fun. But like TV, do you watch TV,
I,
movies? Are you more Netflix or Prime?
I'm more of a TV girl. Movies are a commitment. I just feel
Yeah.
like that's a commitment sometimes for me. So I love trashy reality TV. Like I'm just gonna just go ahead, judge me all you want, call me what you want. Like I love it. I've loved it since The Real World. Like I grew up with The Real World, right? I know on MTV. Okay, so that was the beginning, and now it's Housewives and The Bachelorette. And I mean, I did watch Love Island just because my daughter was here for a while and she was watching it, but I felt creepy watching it. I felt like I shouldn't have. These kids are too young to be for me to be watching it. But yeah, reality TV. If it's just me, like when I row, generally I'll just turn on a trashy reality TV and watch that. It's like my zoom out time because you don't have to like really invest that much thought into it, right?
No.
I don't want to invest a lot of thought in TV, I guess is what the deal is. So it's trashy reality TV. And then usually we'll find like a series every night before we go to bed. My husband and I watch a show. So right now, I mean, we watched all of them, but right now we're watching, I think it's called The Resident on Netflix. So yeah.
Oh, I do
The
like
meta,
TV shows that you can binge. I do like Netflix. I have
Mhm.
not heard about that one, so I'll have to check it.
Yeah. These we like ones with lots of seasons because then you don't have to make a decision every night on what you're going to watch. You're just going to
Yeah,
one we have rewatched. I don't usually rewatch things, but we've rewatched Ted Lasso 4 times. I don't know if you've seen Ted Lasso.
I have not. I think Jeff has watched Ted Lasso. I know I've heard of it.
I That is just such a feel good show. It's on Apple TV. We've rewatched
Okay.
it 3 or 4 times, I think now. So yeah.
Do you want to admit that?
I know it's weird. I normally would not rewatch stuff, but I rewatched that.
Okay. Have you seen it's with Kristen Bell and the rabbi? It's Nobody Wants Us.
I haven't watched that yet. That is one I want to binge on my own. That's not one I can talk my husband into watching. So
You might be able to entice them.
you think you think I can?
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. I mean,
It's
he's like,
spending quality time together. Put it
yeah.
that way.
I mean, he likes The Walking Dead, and I feel like my soul gets ripped out of my body when I'm watching that. I can't watch it. I feel
Yeah.
horrible.
I do remember that Tate, my oldest, and Jeff would watch The Walking Dead, and I'm like, I feel like every episode, it's the same exact thing. Nothing
It's
changes.
horrible. Yeah, I just can't do it. But yeah,
No.
no.
What about movies? What was the last movie you watched
Oh,
or
I
went
don't even.
to?
So I do rewatch movies that I like. So like my favorite movie is Wizard of Oz. Like that's
That's
my favorite. Yeah. I always loved it. And once I finally realized that like all it was the wizard telling people that they could do things that they already could do, but they didn't believe they could do. Once I realized like that was the whole thing, I was like, oh my God, like I love it so much. And the last song in most of my Pilates classes is Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
okay.
So that, and then my other favorite movie is Goodfellas. Speaking of ripping your
Oh
soul
my
out of your,
gosh.
I know, but
Totally
I don't
opposite.
random, right? So black or white, that's how I am. But sometimes there'll be Sundays, my husband and I, we would make we'll make homemade lasagna and have a bottle of wine and watch Goodfellas. Like just that's a thing that we would do. So it was
Yeah.
fun.
Is that with Ray Liotta?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
I
old.
do.
I mean, I think it's like 25 years old.
Seriously?
But last time I went to a movie theater, I'm sure it was before COVID. I haven't been to a movie theater.
Oh my gosh.
If I go to the movie theater, I am there just for the popcorn. That's really what's happening.
That was going to be my next question. Seriously. Okay, movie theater popcorn or popcorn at home, and kernels or microwave?
Um, well, I would pick movie theater popcorn first of all, just because all the butter.
Oh yeah.
I guess I could do that at home too, but at home, my husband makes it in like I guess it's a pop like a thing on the stove. I don't even know how he does it,
Stir
but
crazy where you got to rotate the handle.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's delicious. But I don't know how to do it. He does it, and we don't have any other microwave popcorn, so yeah,
And microwave popcorn, that's like a whole other topic. With
I don't
That's just bad.
have any. Yeah, yeah, I feel like I'm a really purpose like I'm driven by purpose, I guess. So I'm gonna have popcorn. It's gonna be at the like I'm gonna be at the movies. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have nachos. I'm at the ball game, right? I'm gonna have
Honestly, it tastes way better.
totally. Even
Like the
though
hot dogs or the nachos at a
Mhm.
game or stadium taste way better than if you were to get it anywhere else. I don't know why.
It's true, and they're also so expensive, but I don't even care. Yeah.
That's true. It's an
Mhm.
experience. So go
Mhm.
all in.
Yeah.
So, all right, Angie, how can people find you if they want to check out your Pilates class or talk to you about menopause, nutrition?
So on Instagram, my Instagram is at the Pilates Ninja. It's with the THE Pilates Ninja. On Facebook, it's just my name, Angie Asmann, Asmann. So you guys can find me there. And I'm happy, if you listen to this podcast, if you want to get a free, a complimentary Pilates class, an online one, I can send it to you guys. So you just need to message me on Instagram or message me on Facebook, and I can just shoot you over a link and you can do a class. See if you like it.
That is awesome. Thank you. And I did forget to ask self-care.
Mhm.
So we don't have to spend too much time on it, but like what is like a day in the life of Angie? What do you do from when you get up to when you get into that bed?
Yeah, I'm really good at routines. I am really good at routines. So my days do look a lot alike. Normally, I'll get up. I usually do have like a client or a class at 6 a.m. most mornings during the week. So I'll get up. I always wash my face. I always put on sunscreen, even if it's not sunny, even if I don't think I'm going to be outside. I always put it on. I'm a psycho about that. Um, I drink the mushroom matcha, the rise mushroom matcha. So I make myself a mushroom matcha, take my supplements, my vitamins, and then I'll train my client. I usually have either a 9 o'clock client or a 9 o'clock class. And then at 10 a.m. every day is when I work. That's my workout time. So I don't screw with that. I do not, I'm very protective of that if I can be. So from usually 10 to 11 is when I'll work out. Then I'll walk my dog. Um, Today I washed my hair. That's not normal. But,
I hear
and
you.
then yeah, I might call it my relaxing time where I'll eat, some lunch and watch something trashy for like 45 minutes and then do some work on the computer or whatnot, whatever emails I need to follow up on. And then I usually have a class I teach later afternoon. Then I eat bed and I go to bed I try and be in bed by 8:30, watch a show, lights out by 9:15.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I just feel better when I'm doing the right things for my body. And I don't have time or energy to not feel good anymore. Like that's where I'm at, right? Like I would love to have a glass of wine every night, but I know it hurt. I've seen what it does to my sleep. So I don't do it. I would love to stay up till 11 p.m., but I'm not going to be good the next day. So I've really just got myself into that routine where I feel good, and that just helps me be better at everything else I have to do in life. So,
Yeah, yeah. This time was amazing with you. This was
yeah,
absolutely
thank you.
amazing, and
Thank you
I
for
am
having
so
me.
grateful.
Yeah. If you have any questions, just always, if you think of something, let me know.
All right. Well,
All
thanks, Angie.
right.
Thanks
Yeah.
for joining us today, and I'll put out all of your contact info into the show notes, and then yeah, I know you've helped me with some of the questions I had, little curiosities. Um, and I know that anybody that's listening to this, so many valuable nuggets in
Mhm.
this episode. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for